What's good, everybody? Yep. We are back talking Chicago Bears, and it's the bye week, so I'm starting to feel it. So I'm coming down off of the high of the victory, right, from Sunday, the 25-24 win over the Las Vegas Raiders. And now I'm starting to feel the fact that, man, we don't even play this Sunday. So I'm going to have to, lock in, you know, elsewhere. Obviously, the Cubs are playing a little bit later today. They play at 4, so I'll be locked in there. But as far as football, all I really can do is sit up and look for the Browns to knock off the Vikings. We want that. Of course, we just want that. We want Cincinnati to some kind of way knock off the Lions. We want that. We don't think that's going to happen, but we would like that. And I believe the Packers are on bye. So, or do they play I think they're on bye. So, along with the Bears. So, that's pretty much what we'll be watching. But beyond that, that's not why I brought you here. I brought you here to talk about the fact that our Chicago Bears could possibly be headed. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not one of those crazy guys that goes way out and above and all that. Like, you guys got to understand, I've been a journalist for almost 20 years at this point. I followed this team for more than 40. Journalist for over 20 years, covering combat sports, NFL, just about everything you name it. At some point in time, I have covered it, right? So I'm not just coming out of the blue crazy talks. I always try to back up everything, every concept that I present. And I'm not guaranteeing this. I'm not predicting it. What I'm saying is it's a logical thought, and I could see how it would happen. I have the thought that it is possible that the Bears could be on their way to an 8-game winning streak. Now, of course, that's counting the 2 games there. They're already on the 2-game winning streak, right? So let me explain to you why. Look at this. This are the Bears' opponents from week 6 to week 11. And this is also their records as of week 4, the end of week 4, heading into week 5. And at the bottom here, we see what their combined record is. But before we go down there, I'm just going to Caleb's got his hand out. He's extending his hand and because he wants to have this conversation. So week 6 is when the Bears come back, October 13th, on the road against the Commanders. Do I think that's a super easy game? Not a super easy game. But do I think that's a very winnable game based off what I've seen from the Bears? Also, think about this. The Bears are set to get very healthy in week 6. Kyler Gordon should be back. Austin Booker should be back. And we got one other person coming back from injury that's escaping me. Oh, Darnell Wright should also be back from injury. From what we saw with the offensive line in the second half against the Raiders, I am beginning to believe that we might be finding our group with Braxton being benched. I think we might be finding our group. But of course, we still got to limit the penalties. We also still got to stay away from injuries, which have been really a killer for the Bears this year. But the team is already arrow pointing up. And we also are getting healthy at a good time, right going into this bye week. So we come out of this bye week. Not only is it a bye week, but we come back on Monday Night Football, okay? So because we come back on Monday Night Football, we get an additional day to get prepared. I think that some people will say, hey, they could be rusty or whatever, but I feel like that's advantage Bears because of the situation, right? We need that additional time for our offensive line to continue to gel. Nothing like gelling on the field, but they need that time. So I think that's a winnable game. Obviously, week 7 at home against what is right now a winless Saints team that doesn't have a quarterback in play right now that is inspiring any type of fear in anybody. That not only is that a winnable game, that's a game that if the Bears don't win, I'm going to be like, what's going on? Week 8. Now, I know normally on the road against the Baltimore Ravens, people would be like, what are you talking about? But the Ravens have struggled so bad on defense this year. Now, Lamar's hurt. He's not going to play this week. We don't know how long they'll keep him out. I would be a little bit surprised if he's still out October 26th. But even still, the Ravens are 1-3, y'all. Now they haven't had the easiest schedule by any means. They had Buffalo, who is undefeated, beat in week 1 before they kind of collapsed down the stretch. So this is, to me, a winnable game, but it is tough. To me, this is the toughest one on this schedule because it's still on the road and it's still the Ravens and Lamar's still Lamar. But I still count this as a winnable game. Week 9 on the road against the Bengals. Joe Burrow will not be back. Joe Burrow went out in September. He's out for at least 3 months, so which would keep him out October, November, December. He might be able to come back for a late season push or playoffs if they qualify, but their offenses look so anemic. Jake Browning has not been the answer at quarterback. Jamar Chase is frustrated. He's on the sidelines. He's having issues with the head coach. There's rumors going around that the Bengals, or not rumors, but the team is being urged to go and look to trade for Russell Wilson, who's already been benched in New York in favor of Jackson Dart. The Bengals situation does not look great. Okay, it does not look great. So I think that's a winnable game as well. Week 10, November 9th, at home against the Giants. The Giants are 0-3, and they are starting a rookie quarterback. They also just lost their number 1 receiver, Malik Neighbors, for the season. We're looking at Darius Slayton more than likely stepping in and being the number 1 receiver for this team. They also have struggled heavily to stop anybody all year. I just don't think that I feel like that's a winnable game. I feel like that's also one of those games where you would look and say, you expect, I'm sorry, the Giants are 1-3. I have that wrong. I have the Giants 0-3. The Giants are 1-3. That you would expect them to actually win this game. So in actuality, this combined record is 8-16, not 7-16, because the Giants are 1-3. So that's my mistake. It doesn't change what I'm saying, though. I still feel at home against a 1-3 Giants team with all of those other things as they are. That is not only a winnable game, but it's a game you definitely should win. Week 11 against the Vikings on the road. Now, I know we lost to the Vikings in week 1, but if anybody saw that game, you absolutely know. The Vikings, we had the Vikings beat. Settling for field goals, not finishing drives, things that I feel we've gotten better at over the course of the rest of the games this year, outside of Detroit, of course. Actually, the offense wasn't horrible against Detroit either. But I think that with that and some of the injury issues that the Vikings have had, J.J. McCarthy's out there starting Carson Wentz now, 2-2. This is a winnable game, even though it's on the road and it's a division game, so that's always a little bit of a toss-up. So excuse the graphic, it's combined record 8-16, not 7-16. The Giants are 1-3, not 0-3. But my points and my concepts still stand here. I believe that all of these games are winnable games for the Bears. Now, are they going to go ahead and run the table? Yes, they're going to need a lot of good fortune and things like that happening. But none of this is a crazy. The Bears winning any of these games would not be considered a massive upset. They will probably be underdogs against the Commanders on the road, but I don't imagine it will be a massive underdog. They will be favorites over the Saints. Against the Ravens, they will. Depends on what happens with the Ravens. Depends on if Lamar Jackson is playing or not. They could be. So put it like this: if we step up here, if week 8 rolls around and the Ravens are 1-5 or 2-4, I don't know. The Ravens are 1-5 or 2-4 at this point, and the Bears are sitting at 4-2 when this game happens. I think we might be looking at even money, at that point. Now, when they play the Bengals on the road against the Bengals, if Jake Browning is still the quarterback, or they go to a third string guy, or they sign a guy off the street and the offense doesn't look better, I don't know. I think the Bears could be slight favorites, or it's going to be even for that game. The Bears will be favorites against the Giants at home, and against the Vikings, they'll probably be mild underdogs. But as I'm saying, none of these games would be considered, if the Bears were to win, would be considered a massive upset. So keep coming with me for a second. If by some stretch, or not even by much of a stretch. But if this were to come to fruition, we would be looking at the Bears sitting at 8-2, which I don't think anybody thought that would be the case. But we would be looking at the Bears sitting at 8-2, heading into a tough game for sure. More like with an old friend as they go into week 12 at home against Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers. Then it's not going to get, it's not going to, the next 3 weeks are going to be tough. I mean, the next 2 weeks are going to be tough. Week 12 against the Steelers, week 13 on the road against the Eagles, week 14 on the road against the Packers. Then week 16, they get a little bit of a break. They come home and play the Browns. But then they're at home against the Packers, and then they're on the road against the Niners, and then finishing the regular season at home against the Lions. So this little section of the Bears season that they're moving into is really crucial for how the rest of this year is going to go. Very crucial. The Bears need to take care of business over these next 6 games. I'm knocking over bottles. I'm so excited. The Bears need to take care of business over these next 6 games. It will determine how serious their playoff hopes are for the rest of the season, because things are going to get a little bit tough. So that's all I got for you. I want to definitely ask you, if you guys if have not yet subscribed, please do that. If you have not liked the video, do that for sure. Also, if you have any questions, drop them in the comment section. I would love to answer the questions. As a matter of fact, I'm hoping and wanting to do an entire show where I do nothing but talk to you guys. So I'm trying to build this. The subscriber count is high. We're trying to build this Bears following high. So we're going a little bit weird with the way this is going, but stick with me. I appreciate you watching as always. God bless and peace.